Hey there, Math126 fans. I've made videos like this before, but this is just a quick reminder of the graphs you need to know. I'm going to try to very quickly go through it. I've done it for other courses, but you can get away with pretty much knowing these graphs. I often get questions the moment graphing is involved where students are like, I don't know my graphs. You need to know what a line looks like. Y equals mx plus b. You need to know how to find it. If you ever need to graph it, you can just plot 2 points. Not too bad. Typically, the points that are easiest to plot are plugging in 0 for x or 0 for y. Usually people remember how to find the slope, so maybe I'll leave that off. Parabolas look like this. If a is positive or negative, that means it's either a happy or a sad parabola. We also sometimes talk about when x is equal to y squared. If you took Math 125, you encountered that already. If that scares you, just a comment. X squared could look like this. Y squared could look like this. If you know how to graph those, then you also know how to graph the roots, because this graph right here, x equals y squared, the top piece of it is y equals the square root of x. Same idea goes for cubics. You should know this general cubic shape if you don't remember it. And again, you have a note sheet, but you don't. The idea is if something's different, if a number's different, but you know the general shape, then you can draw a rough sketch. You can plot a couple points, and then the fact that you know the general shape helps you. If you don't know this about inverses, they're flipped over the line y equals x. So you're going to get the exact same graph as this one, but it's going to be like this, flipped over the line y equals x. So that's the cube root graph. Again, most of the time you just need to know the general shape so you can make a sketch. And most of the time for the things we're doing, we're just seeing which one's higher or lower. So if you generally know what powers and roots look like, you're probably fine. In terms of circles, there's just a comment to make, which is we often are working with only part of a circle. So if you're only working with part of a circle, let's say you have x squared plus y squared, equals 4. You can solve for x or y. If you solve for y, you get this plus or minus feature. And that's the upper and lower semicircle. So you get the upper semicircle, that's the positive y's. And you get the lower semicircle, that's the negative y's. If instead you solve for x, you would get x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 4 minus y squared. And those are it's easy to remember. Those are the positive x's and the negative x's on the circle. So those are our semicircles. The absolute value function occasionally comes up, so I just wanted to throw it on there in case you didn't know that one. And the only other ones would be this hyperbola, which we sometimes see, and just generally part of what you learned in calculus was how to graph anything, like tools to use, but it's really nice to have a few things to start with. And I always get this question of what graphs do I need to know, and it's these. The log graph is the same as the ln graph. It's just reflected over the line y equals x. And then hopefully we know sine and cosine well. We've had to deal with them a lot, but you should know it starts at 0. You should know that it repeats every 2 pi. These are prerequisites. Most instructors would say, if you don't know this, you're in trouble, but it's really not that much to even get caught up on the general shape. So that's why I've been trying to make these little supplemental videos to say you can do it. The tangent graph looks like this. It's going to look weird because it's sine over cosine, so it has these fractions, which can have a problem here. At pi over 2. A few things about sine and cosine. If you can remember the general graph, that often can help you remember those values that students often forget. For example, cosine starts at 1, so cosine of 0 is 1. Sine of 0 is 0. Okay, some of these things we should just know. It'd be very helpful for us. Lastly, we sometimes see arctangent, but arctangent, again, is the flip of this. So if you don't remember arctangent, you can just remember tangent and then flip it over the line. Y equals x. It comes up like this, has an asymptote here, pi over 2. So that's it. That's kind of our starting place. In general, what I'm saying here is if you know the rough shape, that's kind of all you're going to need to know. And then you can plot a few points and you can get a good enough graph to do most of what we're doing. All right, hope that helps.